You're about to speak in a meeting at work. Your heart is racing, you've prepared what you want to say, you've checked the grammar 3 times, but there's this voice in your head saying, your English isn't good enough. They'll think you're stupid. Just stay quiet.
I remember this so clearly. I was learning German and I was in a business meeting in Berlin. I had a great idea to contribute, but I kept thinking, my German is terrible. These native speakers will judge me. So I said nothing. The meeting ended and someone else suggested my exact idea. Everyone loved it. I felt sick. I'd let imposter syndrome steal my voice.
That's the problem. Imposter syndrome doesn't just make you feel bad, it stops you from using the English you already know.
Today, we're teaching you 7 specific mindset shifts to beat imposter syndrome, plus speaking drills you can practice right now to build real confidence.
I'm Olivia.
And I'm Paul. Welcome to English Together. Here's what you need to understand. Imposter syndrome in language learning is the feeling that you're a fraud, that you don't belong in English-speaking spaces, that you're not really good at English even when you've been studying for years.
And it's so common. Studies show that over 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point, and for language learners, that number is even higher.
The consequence? You avoid speaking. You apologize for your English constantly, you stay in your comfort zone and never improve. Your English skills stay stuck because your mindset is holding you back.
But here's the good news. Imposter syndrome isn't about your actual English ability. It's about how you think about your English ability. And that means you can change it.
We call this the 7 Shifts Confidence Reset. 7 mental shifts that directly challenge the thoughts that make you feel like an imposter. Each shift comes with a speaking drill to practice, so you're not just thinking differently, you're speaking differently.
In the next 18 minutes, you'll learn all 7 shifts, understand why each one matters, and get practical drills to build confidence immediately.
Let's start with Shift 1.
Shift 1 is changing from I'm not fluent enough to I'm fluent enough for this conversation.
Here's the thing. Learners think they need to be perfectly fluent in all of English before they can speak, but fluency isn't all or nothing.
What do you mean?
You don't need to discuss quantum physics in English to order coffee confidently. You don't need C2 advanced vocabulary to have a conversation about your weekend. You need to be fluent enough for the specific situation you're in.
So instead of I'm not fluent, you say I'm fluent enough for this conversation.
Exactly. Let me give you an example. If you can say, I'd like a cappuccino, please, clearly and confidently, you're fluent enough for that coffee shop interaction. That's real fluency.
But what if you make a mistake?
Then you're still fluent enough, because native speakers make mistakes too. Fluency is about communication, not perfection.
I love that reframe.
Here's the speaking drill for Shift 1. Before you enter any English-speaking situation, ask yourself, what do I need to say in this situation? Then remind yourself, I know how to say that. I'm fluent enough for this.
So you're setting realistic expectations instead of impossibly high ones.
Right. And this takes so much pressure off.
Shift 2 is from I made a mistake, I'm bad at English, to I made a mistake, I'm learning.
This is huge. When you make a mistake, your brain has a choice. You can see it as evidence that you're failing or evidence that you're learning.
But it feels so embarrassing when you mess up.
I know. Let me tell you what happened to me. I was teaching in Japan and I was learning Japanese. I was at a restaurant and I wanted to say I'm full after eating, but I accidentally said I'm pregnant. The waiter looked so confused and my Japanese friends started laughing.
Oh no.
I was so embarrassed. But here's what my friend told me. She said, now you'll never forget the right word. And she was right. I made a mistake, but I learned from it. That mistake made me better.
So mistakes are data, not failure.
Exactly. When you make a mistake and think, I'm bad at English, you trigger shame. And shame makes you want to hide. But when you think, I'm learning, you trigger curiosity. And curiosity makes you want to try again.
That's a completely different emotional response.
Here's the drill. Every time you catch yourself making a mistake or not knowing a word, literally say out loud or in your mind, "I'm learning." Just those two words. It reframes the entire experience.
I'm learning. That's so simple but powerful.
And here's the truth. You will never stop making mistakes. Even native speakers make mistakes. The goal isn't to eliminate mistakes, it's to stop letting mistakes define you.
Shift 3 is from they'll judge my accent to my accent is part of my identity.
This is a big one. So many learners are terrified of their accent. They think they need to sound like a native speaker or people will think less of them.
I struggled with this. I'm from the UK, but I moved to Canada and people sometimes didn't understand my British accent. I started feeling self-conscious, like I was speaking wrong English.
But you weren't speaking wrong English, you were speaking British English in Canada.
Exactly, and I had to shift my mindset. My accent isn't a flaw, it's part of who I am. It tells my story.
Here's what learners need to hear. There is no such thing as accentless English. Americans have American accents, Australians have Australian accents, British people have British accents, and you have your accent.
As long as you're clear and understandable, your accent is fine.
More than fine, it's valuable. Your accent shows you speak multiple languages, which is impressive.
What about when people don't understand you because of your accent?
Then you repeat or rephrase. That's not a failure, that's just communication. Even native speakers have to repeat themselves sometimes.
So the drill is to practice saying my accent is part of my identity and owning it.
Yes, and here's a practical drill. Record yourself speaking English for 30 seconds. Listen back. Instead of criticizing your accent, notice what you did well. Did you speak clearly? Did you use good vocabulary? Did you communicate your idea?
Focus on what's working, not what's wrong.
Exactly. Shift 4 is from I should know this by now to I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
I think every learner has felt this. Like, I've been studying for 2 years, why don't I understand everything?
Right. You compare yourself to some imaginary timeline where you should be fluent by now. But language learning doesn't work on a fixed schedule.
Everyone learns at different speeds.
Exactly. Some people learn faster, some slower. Some have more time to practice, some less. Some learned English as children, some as adults. You can't compare your progress to someone else's journey.
But it's hard not to compare.
I know. Here's what helped me. I was learning Spanish, and I met someone who'd been learning for the same amount of time as me, but she was way more fluent. I felt terrible, like I was failing. But then I found out she'd lived in Spain for a year, and I'd been learning from my apartment in London. Of course she was more advanced. We weren't on the same path.
So comparing yourself to others is pointless because you don't know their full story.
Right. The only person you should compare yourself to is you from 6 months ago. Are you better than you were then?
That's a much healthier comparison.
Here's the drill. Write down 3 things you can do in English now that you couldn't do a year ago. Maybe you can understand movies better, or have longer conversations, or write emails more quickly. That's your proof of progress.
So you're measuring yourself against your own growth, not someone else's.
Exactly. Shift 5 is from I don't belong here to I have a right to speak. This is about permission. A lot of learners feel like they don't have the right to use English, especially in professional or formal settings.
Like they're intruding in a space that's not theirs.
Exactly. But here's the truth. English doesn't belong to native speakers. English is a global language spoken by billions of people, and most English speakers in the world are non-native speakers.
So you have just as much right to speak English as anyone else.
Yes. And in professional settings, if you're in the room for a reason. You were invited or hired or admitted because you belong there.
But what if your English isn't as good as everyone else's in the room?
Then you still belong there because you bring other skills and perspectives. Your value isn't determined by your English fluency. It's determined by your ideas, your work, your contributions.
This is so important. I think a lot of learners silence themselves because they feel like they don't have permission to speak.
Here's the drill. Before you enter a meeting, a class, or any English-speaking situation, say to yourself, I belong here. I have a right to speak. My voice matters. Say it until you believe it.
Affirmations work when you repeat them.
They do. And then, in the conversation, make yourself speak at least once. Even if it's just asking a question or agreeing with someone, use your voice.
Don't let the whole meeting go by in silence.
Right.
Okay, pause for 1 second. We've just given you 5 mindset shifts, but here's the thing. You need to practice these mental shifts out loud or they won't stick when you're in a real English speaking situation.
So right now, we want you to say 3 of these shifts with us. Ready?
First one, say, I'm fluent enough for this conversation.
Go ahead. Say it out loud right now. We'll wait. Good. Now say, I made a mistake. I'm learning. One more. Say, I have a right to speak.
Did you do it? If you said them out loud, you're already rewiring your brain. That's how you build confidence, by speaking the truth about your learning journey.
All right, let's keep going. 2 more shifts. Shift 6 is from I need to be perfect to I need to be clear.
This is about letting go of perfectionism.
Yes, perfectionism is the enemy of communication. If you wait until your sentence is grammatically perfect before you speak, you'll never speak.
But doesn't good grammar matter?
Of course, grammar matters, but clarity matters more. If you say, yesterday I go to the store and I buy milk, that's not perfect grammar. It should be went and bought, but it's 100% clear. I understand exactly what you mean.
So communication is more important than grammatical perfection.
Always. Your goal is to be understood, not to be perfect.
What's the drill for this?
Here's a great one. Set a timer for 2 minutes. Pick a topic, anything, like my weekend, or my job, or my favorite food. Speak about it out loud for the full 2 minutes without stopping. Don't correct yourself, don't restart sentences, just keep talking.
Even if you make mistakes?
Especially if you make mistakes. The goal is fluency and clarity, not perfection. You're training yourself to prioritize communication over correctness.
That sounds hard, but really useful.
It is. And when you're done, ask yourself, was I clear? Could someone understand me? If yes, you succeeded.
Shift 7 is from everyone speaks better than me to I notice what I can do.
This is about where you put your attention. Imposter syndrome makes you hyper-focus on what you can't do. You listen to advanced speakers and think, I'll never be that good.
But that's not helpful.
Not at all. It just makes you feel hopeless. Instead, you need to train yourself to notice what you can do.
Like what?
Like, I understood that entire conversation. Or, I successfully ordered food and the waiter understood me. Or, I made a joke in English and someone left. Those are wins.
But they seem so small.
They're not small. They're evidence of competence. And when you collect evidence of competence, your brain starts to believe, I can do this.
So it's like keeping a success journal?
Exactly. Here's the drill. At the end of each day, write down 3 things you did successfully in English that day. They can be tiny, like I understood a podcast episode, or I texted my friend in English, or I knew the word for something without looking it up.
You're training your brain to look for success instead of failure.
Yes. And over time, this completely changes how you see yourself as an English speaker. I'll tell you a story. I was teaching a student who kept saying, I'm terrible at English. I can't speak. But in our lessons, she spoke for an hour straight every week. So I started interrupting her whenever she said, I can't speak. I'd say, you're speaking right now. She'd laugh and realize, oh, I am speaking.
She was so focused on what she couldn't do, she didn't notice what she was already doing.
Exactly, and that's what this shift is about. Notice what you can do.
Okay, we've covered all 7 mindset shifts. Now let's give you 3 specific speaking drills to practice this week.
Drill 1. The mirror practice. Stand in front of a mirror and introduce yourself in English for 1 minute. Watch yourself speak. Notice your body language, your facial expressions. Don't judge, just observe. This helps you get comfortable being seen and heard speaking English.
Drill 2, the voice note drill. Send a voice note to a friend in English every day for a week. It can be about anything, your day, a question, a story. The goal is to practice speaking without overthinking because you can't edit a voice note as much as you can edit text.
Drill 3. The conversation starter. In every English conversation this week, make yourself speak first. Don't wait for the other person to start. Say, "Hi, how are you?" Or, "How's your day going?" Or, "Did you see the weather today?" Just one simple sentence to start. This builds the habit of initiating, which is huge for confidence.
These are all about taking action, not just thinking about English.
Right, confidence comes from doing, not from waiting until you feel ready.
We've taught over 90,000 students these exact mindset shifts and drills, and here's what they tell us. The biggest breakthrough wasn't learning new grammar or vocabulary. It was changing how they thought about themselves as English speakers. Once they stopped seeing themselves as imposters and started seeing themselves as learners in progress, their confidence skyrocketed. And ironically, their English improved faster because they were actually using it instead of hiding.
Mindset is everything.
All right, let's recap the 7-shift confidence reset.
Shift 1. From "I'm not fluent enough" to "I'm fluent enough for this conversation." Drill. Before speaking, remind yourself you know enough for this specific situation.
Shift 2, from I made a mistake, I'm bad at English, to I made a mistake, I'm learning. Drill. Every time you make a mistake, say, I'm learning.
Shift 3. From "they'll judge my accent" to "my accent is part of my identity." Drill. Record yourself and notice what you did well, not what's wrong.
Shift 4, from I should know this by now, to I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Drill. Write down 3 things you can do now that you couldn't do a year ago.
Shift 5. From "I don't belong here" to "I have a right to speak." Drill. Before meetings, say, "I belong here. I have a right to speak."
Shift 6, from I need to be perfect to I need to be clear. Drill. Speak for 2 minutes on any topic without stopping or correcting yourself.
Shift 7. From "everyone speaks better than me" to "I notice what I can do." Drill. At the end of each day, write down 3 English wins.
Plus 3 bonus speaking drills. Mirror practice, speak to yourself for 1 minute. Voice note drill, send daily voice notes to a friend. Conversation starter, speak first in every conversation this week.
Your homework. Choose 2 of these shifts that resonate most with you. Practice their drills every day this week. Just 5 minutes a day.
Start small, build consistency.
And remember, imposter syndrome doesn't mean you're not good enough. It means you're challenging yourself and growing. That's a good thing.
All right, we covered so much today, and we're really proud of you for sticking with us.
If this lesson helped you, please give it a like right now. It helps other English learners who are struggling with confidence find this exact message.
And if you haven't already subscribed to English Together, we post a new practical English lesson every single week.
Now, here's our question for you. What's your biggest imposter syndrome moment when speaking English? Maybe you stayed silent in a meeting even though you had something to say, or maybe you apologized for your English before even starting to speak. Or maybe you convinced yourself not to apply for a job because you thought your English wasn't good enough.
I told you about my I'm just a teacher moment where I said almost nothing at that conference. Paul shared his German meeting disaster where he let someone else take credit for his idea because he was too scared to speak.
Tell us your story in the comments. We read every single one and will reply to as many as we can. Plus, your story will help other learners feel less alone because we've all been there.
Remember, imposter syndrome is not a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're doing something brave. You're learning a language, putting yourself out there, taking risks.
And every single person learning a language feels like an imposter sometimes. Even us. The difference is, confident learners don't let that feeling stop them from speaking.
Use the 7-shift confidence reset this week, do the drills, and watch how your confidence changes.
You're not an imposter. You're a learner. And that's something to be proud of.
Thanks for learning with us today.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.